This is the first H to the C Pagan Place Sessions, and in this first edition, we're going to have musical guest Frank James from St. John, New Brunswick. Frank's going to regale us with stories of youth, traveling, and the dangers of public transportation. So sit back, sip your poison, and enjoy the ride. I'm Kalen Capson, and this is the Pagan Place Sessions.
Grew up playing piano, the conservatory route, so good at sight reading, crappy at jamming, not so much a jam band guy. And
How long have you been playing guitar?
Picked it up when I was about 23. Came back from living in Montreal for a while, and my brother, who always had guitars, played years before I did, passing through town once while I was living in Montreal, and had an old beat up, well, it wasn't even that beat up, it's not a bad guitar, but it was an old classical that he sort of left at the family home, and then he moved on to his next place, and I was coming back from Montreal, and there was a guitar in the room, and that was the only thing that really stopped me from playing it before, is I just didn't own one. So just moved back, didn't have much to do for 6 months, and stayed in a room and played guitar for 6 months.
So your influences, so you picked up guitar. I mean, obviously there was something there that made you want to play.
Women. I was working in Montreal. I was a student and bartending for a while, and got used to singing. I was in a lot of Irish bars, and so that was that, and boredom for that first 6 months moving home. I like instruments. It was there. It was something to play.
So you're gonna play 3 songs for us.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna start out with "For Pity's Sake" or "Pity's Sake."
Pity's sake, for pity's sake. Titles can change. We could call it Montreal because it's a sort of a general scenario of getting drunk, and it was one of these things. Both my originals were literally completed today. One pretty much from scratch. One that had been floating around in a lot of forms, and I just needed to settle on a style. So, For Pity's Sake or Pity's Sake was the idea that you do all these things as a sort of, somewhat privileged, 20-year-old, not destitute. So if you're not destitute, you're somewhat privileged at 20. If you have money to go drinking, you're privileged. And, that all these sort of things you do that people will say that you're being tortured, or, you're letting out, you're expressing yourself, you're drinking or drugs for whatever. It's for attention. It's the idea that you're not, it's no big reason. It's just to, you just want to get someone's attention. That's about it. It's being petty. It's being spoiled is what it is. So it's a song about just sort of roaming around town, and everything you do is not really for fun. It's not really for whatever. It's just to escape, and that's about it. But it's happy. It's making fun of it. It's not taking it too seriously.
So it's from experience.
Yeah, well, I think it's yes. From experience. I don't think I ever intellectualized it at the time, but I'd like to go back and go, hopefully I didn't take myself too seriously. And all that stuff, it wasn't for any greater reason than just, if you seem a little messed up, then someone pays you attention, or, that's about it, I guess. There's a line of the song, it's the For Pity's Sake, my cries for help weren't for ears of Others, they're for pity's sake, the attention of, and that line could have been lover, mother, other. And probably as I progress, I'll try and figure out a way that might work a little better. I just sort of say other every time, but the idea is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing it to get your attention of your parents or a lover or anybody. It's just all of it's the same. So it doesn't matter what your issues are. You express it the same way.
For pity's sake. My cries for help were not meant for prying ears of others, but for pity's sake, the attention of another. I load up my glass and take a shot to the head. My insides are burning, my brain cell is dead. I can't walk straight, but I shall feel no pain. I feel so damn good that I might do it again. And I walk through the streets, and I smile at the strangers. And I walk through the streets all alone, all alone. I get to my home away or home I buy a round or two. If you stick with me long enough, I might buy one for you. My hair fell into place just as my head hit the floor. I think it's that time when someone shows me the door. And I walk through the streets, and I smile at the strangers. And I walk through the streets all alone, all alone. I walk down the street as she came up on me. If you find me lying there, well, just let me be. I can't remember what I've done, but I know I've done it before. If I wake up tomorrow, I might do it some more. And I walk through the streets, and I smile at the strangers. And I walk through the streets all alone, all alone. My cries for help were not meant for prying ears of others. For pity's sake, the attention of another. And I walk through the streets, and I smile at the strangers. And I walk through the streets all alone, all alone.
That sums up the 20s. Early 20s, mid-20s, early 30s.
30s, 40s for some. Yeah. Andover is, I'm very happy with it today. The guitar playing, we'll see what it turns into, but I was very happy with finishing writing it this morning. Because it was a line. There was the whole story is, I was in London in 2005. I was in London when there was it's hard to say the London bombings, because there's been a few over the years, but the 2005 summer ones. And sort of like everybody that was there, everyone just missed it. If you were in the West End of London, then you know, everything happened in and around that area. So everyone would say, "Oh, I was 15 minutes from taking that bus." Well, yeah, you and 2 million other people. Like it wasn't that common to have avoided it. And I was rather surprised with sort of the stoicism of a lot of the people in London with a major bombing. You know, a lot of people died, and it was a lot of confusion at the time, but ultimately a lot of the people carried on very well. And the next day, after they closed down all the subways, all the trains, I was on the first train leaving the train station going north. I was going up to Scotland, and I was just traveling around. I was just on a trip, and one, that the trains were back on the next day. So barely 24 hours, less than 24 hours, everything's back to normal as far as moving around the city. You know, things weren't really closed off other than the major crime scenes. And anyway, so on the train journey north, there is a city called Andover. And I only half remember this because I was half sleeping. But there's like a South Andover or an East Andover, and then there's Central Andover, then there's Northern Andover. So you get a bunch of these signs like you're now entering here, you're now leaving here, you're now entering the next one. So it's over and over, you come to Andover. That's the little sort of limerick pun that's stuck in my head. And even in Maine, as you're driving through Maine up the airline, when you even come to Andover in northern Maine, same thing. There's like 11 exits for Andover or some version of Andover. And anyway, so that line started. And then I was like, Andover, Andover. I went to Andover on a train heading north, fleeing doom. Doom being the bombings. So I had that line for a long, long time, and really liked it because it set up a lot of good imagery for the rest of the song. And sort of a repetitive thing, and running away and escaping. And it wasn't until sort of today that it sort of pieced together of, well, what is this guy fleeing? And the whole stories of the bombing wasn't really, I couldn't go anywhere without it just being dark and uninteresting, really. And so it was like a guy running away from a wedding. Summertime, been to lots of weddings, it's on my mind. So it's all about this guy fleeing back to Scotland from London, and just about the fact that he's realized at that moment he's basically left his bride at the altar, and he's running away, going back to his homeland in Scotland. Also an easy comparison is, of course, the upcoming vote about Scotland independence. And the line, of course, being, we're not to be one, but stay two. So the idea of breaking apart again. So it goes either way. It's either a marriage song or it's prophetic if they break apart. And I can take credit for it. If they don't, it's a wedding song. It's an anti-wedding song.
And then the third song you're going to play is May You Never. That's a cover.
Yeah, it's by a guy named John Martin. Martin with a Y. He's, I actually can't remember if he's originally Scottish and ended up playing just a lot in London. I'm pretty sure he is Scottish, but at least he's northern England, if not. And just from his accent, you could tell. But he just passed away a couple of years ago. I don't want to say a sad story, but a little bit of a sad story. Just, great music, sort of 70s into 80s, but then kind of a little bit of a lackluster later years. Not that his writing or he wasn't prolific, he just, more of the market. He didn't get the attention that I think a songwriter deserved, at least not here in North America. I mean, he's definitely better known in the UK than here. But just a lovely little sort of, well, it's a love song, really. Nothing too complicated about it. His guitar styling is much more complicated than what I do. He's sort of every single beat he's changing and doing walk-ups and walk-downs and stuff like that. But I've just sort of, I hammer it out the best I can, and it's quite fun the way I do it. So his way must be fantastic.
Why did you choose that one?
Again, just sort of on the Andover song and pity's sake. It's the possible England, the London Scotland connection with a drinking song, and May You Never's sort of a combination of that. It's a loving kind of bar-y drinking song from a guy who was from the UK. So there, it's sort of it's halfway both. Yeah, I guess that's a reason.
All right, well, let's get to it. So, Frank James.
Thanks for having me.
Over and over, I went to and over, train headed north, fleeing doom. And though I am shaky, be calm, my fine lady, for I know that I'm not your groom. In London, you're waiting, Edinburgh, that I'm making, for I sure cannot see this thing through. In the end, we are different, no words spoke were mended. We are not to be one, but stay tuned. And over, I went to and over on a train headed north, fleeing doom. And though I am shaky, be calm, my fine lady, for I know that I'm not your groom. In London, you're waiting, Edinburgh, that I'm making, for I sure cannot see this through. In the end, we are different, no words spoke will mend it. We are not to be one, but stay tuned. And over, I went to and over, on train headed north, fleeing doom. And though I am shaky, be calm, my fine lady, I know that I'm not your groom. In London, we're waiting, Edinburgh, that I'm making, for I sure can't see this thing through. And though we're different, no words spoke will mend it. We are not to be one, but stay tuned. We are not to be one, but stay tuned. And over, and over, and over, and over, and over, we'll stay tuned. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed out in the cold. You're just like a crazy brother of mine. I try to love you like I should. You don't talk dirty behind my back. I know that there's plenty that would. Oh, please, won't you bear in mind, love is a lesson we learn in our time. Please, won't you please learn it in time for me. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed out in the cold. You're just like a crazy sister of mine, and I try to love you like I should. You don't have a blade to stick in my back. I know that there's plenty that would. Oh, please, won't you bear in mind, love is a lesson we learn in our time. Please, won't you please learn it in time for me. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed out in the cold. May you never lose your temper if you get in a barroom fight. May you never lose your woman overnight. I said you're just like a crazy sister of mine. I try to love you like I should. You don't talk dirty behind my back. I know that there's plenty that would. Oh, please, won't you bear in mind, love is a lesson we learn in our time. Please, won't you please learn it in time for me. Won't you please learn it in time for me. May you never lose your woman. Oh,